The morning of September 11th, 2001 in New York City looked completely normal. People were rushing toward their offices, subways were packed, and inside the World Trade Center's Twin Towers, thousands of employees were starting their day. No one had even the slightest idea that within minutes, something would happen that would change world history and global politics forever. That morning, 19 hijackers belonging to the extremist group al-Qaeda, with Osama bin Laden as their mastermind, had already boarded four commercial planes. These planes were flying long routes, full of fuel, and the hijackers planned to use them like bombs. Everything was happening silently, with months of planning behind it. The flights took off. American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 77, and United Airlines Flight 93. Soon after takeoff, hijackers overpowered the pilots and took full control of the planes. At 8:46 a.m., the first plane, Flight 11, crashed directly into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. A massive explosion echoed across the city, and in seconds, panic began spreading through New York's busiest streets. People thought it might be an accident, maybe a weather issue, or the pilot losing control, because before this day, no one had ever imagined that a commercial airplane could be used as a weapon against a skyscraper. TV cameras started broadcasting live images of black smoke pouring from the North Tower, people standing at the windows signaling for help, and fire departments racing toward the site at full speed. Firefighters rushed inside without hesitation, climbing the stairs with only one thought in mind: how many lives they could save. But just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., all doubts disappeared when United Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower. Live on television. That was the moment the world realized this wasn't an accident. America was under a coordinated terrorist attack. Both towers, holding thousands of trapped people, turned into giant pillars of fire. Sirens, screams, and chaos overtook the entire city. In desperation, some people at the top floors started jumping out of the windows because the heat inside had become impossible to survive. Amid the shock far away in Washington, D.C., another explosion took place at 9:37 a.m. when American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon. The Pentagon was America's central military defense headquarters, and 125 people inside were killed instantly. Now it was clear that this attack wasn't just on one city, it was an attack on the entire United States. Emergency lockdowns were activated, air traffic was halted, and for the first time in U.S. history, every plane in American skies was ordered to land immediately. Meanwhile, one last plane was still in the air, United Flight 93. The hijackers intended to crash it into either the Capitol building or the White House. But when the passengers made phone calls and learned what was happening in New York, they understood they were not going to survive either way. They made a heroic decision to fight back and try to retake the plane. In their final recorded phone calls, their last words included, "We're going to take them down." While rushing toward the cockpit, the hijackers realized they were losing control, and they intentionally crashed the plane into an empty field in Pennsylvania. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 went down, never reaching its target. Those passengers became heroes forever because they saved America's capital from another devastating hit. Back in New York, destruction was reaching its peak. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. The building fell just 56 minutes after being struck, sending a shock wave through the city and burying streets in dust and debris. People were running, firefighters and police officers were trying to escape, and the entire area turned into a suffocating cloud of smoke. Only 29 minutes later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also collapsed. The New York skyline, once the pride of the world, was destroyed within hours. A total of 2,977 people died in these attacks, including office workers, firefighters, police officers, airplane passengers, and ordinary civilians. In New York alone, 343 firefighters and 60 police officers lost their lives. Ground Zero turned into a nightmare zone filled with twisted steel, crushed concrete, toxic air, and scattered remains. Rescuers searched for survivors, but in most places, they found only debris. Many people exposed to the toxic dust later developed cancers and long-term breathing problems. The world's reaction was immediate and powerful. Countries across the globe expressed solidarity with America. NATO activated Article 5 for the first time in history, declaring that an attack on one member nation was an attack on all. Airport security rules were completely transformed. Cockpit doors were reinforced, baggage screening became extremely strict, and the entire air travel system was redesigned. The United States launched a massive investigation, and the FBI and CIA confirmed that the 19 hijackers were members of al-Qaeda and that the entire operation was planned by Osama bin Laden, with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed acting as the main operational architect. Soon after, the U.S. announced the War on Terror and began military operations in Afghanistan, targeting the Taliban and al-Qaeda training camps. This war lasted for the next 2 decades and permanently altered global politics. Along with tragedy, 9/11 also revealed countless stories of bravery. Firefighters who kept rescuing people even seconds before the building collapsed. Office workers guiding colleagues down dark stairwells. Police officers running upward while everyone else was running down. And the passengers on Flight 93 who sacrificed their lives to save thousands more. These real-life heroes will forever be remembered. Even today, when people watch the footage of 9/11, they remember the emotional phone calls where trapped individuals were saying their final goodbyes to their families. Outside the World Trade Center, families waited in hope, thinking maybe their loved ones would come out alive. But many never did. 9/11 wasn't just an attack. It was a moment that taught the world the meaning of vulnerability, unity, sacrifice, and resilience. The event changed America permanently. The Department of Homeland Security was created, surveillance systems became stronger, intelligence agencies received more powers, and international policies transformed dramatically. September 11th was a painful tragedy, but also a reminder that heroes are born in the toughest moments.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.